This is my sketch illustration of Mira from the K-pop Demon Hunters, and today I'm going to guide you through each of the steps so that you could draw this yourself. So grab a pencil and paper and let's get started. Welcome back everyone, and thanks for joining me today. For this lesson, I'm going to start off with this 0.7mm mechanical pencil with a 2B graphite stick. Now if you don't have a mechanical pencil, anything you have around the house will work just fine. Now with all my portrait illustrations, I always like to start with a set of guidelines to help with the balance and symmetry of our drawing. So let's start at the very top of our page, right in the middle. Just going to lightly sketch a line coming down the center, pulling this down towards us. Let's go back up to the top, draw another line going across from left to right. Now I want to use these two lines to help us create a large circle in the center of our page to define the size of the head. So from that center point, let's move up to right about here. Just going to mark this off. Now we want to measure that distance from the center down towards the bottom. Do the same thing. And then we'll repeat that across this horizontal line. So measuring the distance from the center towards the left and then the right side. Let's connect the center point of each mark with a curve to create our circle. So we'll start with the top left. Now the circle doesn't have to be perfect. We're just using this as a guide. You can always go back and just smooth this out as best we can. Let's add another set of lines coming down the side of our circle. So we'll start with the left and then the right. And we'll add one more line going across the bottom of our circle. Now with our circle and guidelines in place, let's start blocking out the key facial features. Now I want to start with the hair that comes down the side. So we're going to go halfway between the top of our circle and the center. So let's start right here. This is where the part's going to start. I'm going to curve this out and then pull that all the way down towards this corner. Let's do the same thing on the right, going across and then down. Now along the bottom of our circle, we're just going to step up. We're going to tilt the head down so the eyes will sit along the bottom of our circle. So right about here. And then we'll create a gap in between the eyes. So let's move over towards left. Right here, just going to mark this off. Measure that same distance over towards the right. Now from this point on each side, we want to curve the eyelid. We're going to go up and then out towards the edge of the hair. Let's go back to the left side. Draw a straight angle line coming down and in towards the bottom of the eye. Just going to round this out and then pull that in towards that point. Let's push the iris and pupil underneath the eyelid. So on the left, come down just so we can see the bottom edge of the eye. Do the same thing on the right. We can always come back and readjust the placement later. Now from the inside corner of the eye, let's step up. We're going to angle the eyebrows going up and then out on either side. Let's go to the center, step down to right about here. We're just going to mark out the tip of the nose. Just going to draw a little V. Close off the top with a straight line to create an upside down triangle. Then we're going to move down again, draw the edge of the mouth, going all the way across from left to right. Now I'm going to add a little bit of shape to the upper lip and lower lip. So we're going to start with a curve in the center. Bend this down and out toward the left and right. Just going to round out the lower lip, coming down and then up. Now right from the bottom lip, we're going to step all the way down towards the chin and mark that off. Now right where the hair meets this line, we're just going to curve the head, coming down and then in towards the chin. And again, we can always come back and modify the shape later. Just going to pull that in. From the chin, step up, angle the neck, coming down and out towards the shoulders. Now we're going to go up towards the side of the head and draw on the ears. So let's start on the left, just up above the eye. Then this up, round out the ear, and then pull that back in towards the side of the head. And we want to line that up on the right, going up and then bending that back in. Now this hair comes across the ear and then back down and in. So let's continue that curve, going around the jawline and then in towards the bottom. Now let's go back up to the top, draw the outside of that strand. We're going to start with the left side. We're going to bend this out and then down just on top of the ear. Come down and just taper that in towards the bottom. Along the side of our circle, we're just going to bump this out. So we're going to start from the center, curve this around, just adding a little bit more volume to the top of the head. Round this out. And I want to bend this down and then in towards the ears. Now we're going to add those two ponytails along the side. Let's start from the top left, bend this up, round this out, come down, and then bend that out towards the bottom. Now we're going to line that up on the right. Doing the same thing, going up towards the same height, coming down the side, and then out. Now along the base of the neck, we're going to slope the shoulders, coming down and across. Now that we have a rough sketch in place, let's go back and clean this up by erasing some of these guidelines. Now once you finish cleaning up a drawing, I'm going to go back and start modifying the shapes and adding some more details. And I always like to start back at the eyes. So just refine the curve and adding some thickness along the top and the side of the eyes. So I'm just going to bend this down and in. I'm going to fade this line coming towards the inside. Let's go back and add some thickness across the top, going out towards the point. Just blending that in towards the side. It's going to roughly shade the inside of the eyelash. Let's go to the top. I'm just going to add a little fold, going across, going a little bit darker in the center of that curve, and fading that out towards the sides. Now I want to do the same thing on the right. I'm just going to push this eyelid underneath the hair. We'll add that fold going across the top. Now, if we're okay with the position of the iris, we're going to go back in and just darken up the edges. And over on the left side of each iris, we're going to draw a small circle for a highlight. We'll just darken up the center of the iris. Now a little bit of thickness to the eyebrows, coming down and in, and just lightly shade the inside. Just going to come in along the side of the nose bridge. Now let's go down and add in the nose. It's going to stay within that upside down triangle, the curve along the center. Darken up the inside of the nostrils. We'll pull this around the nostrils, up and then in. Just going to round up the chin. Again, just adding a little more shape. Add a little band across the base of those ponytails. I'm just going to roughen this detail. Just working our way around the perimeter. Just darken up the edges. Let's add some rough detail around the collar. And then the shoulders. And now I'm going to switch to my 0.9mm pencil and add some contrast. So again, starting back at the eyes, and just going to repeat those same steps from the eyes, working our way around. I'm also going to do a little bit of cleanup as we go. Add a medium shade to that upper lip. And then the lower lip along the sides and the bottom, going up towards the highlight. And we're placing that highlight just along the top of the lower lip. And you can also see that I'm applying some thick and thin lines. So adding the thick lines in the shadow areas. So this hair casts a shadow across the edge of the face. So that area is going to be a little bit thicker than the chin. Now I'm going to go back and start adding some texture to the hair. Starting across the bottom, I'm just going to pull the hair going up. You want to vary the spacing in between the texture. Going in between. Now from the head, we're going to come down. And it doesn't have to be a complete line from top to bottom. Go inside the ear. Just adding some lines in between. Go back up to the top. I'm just going to curl the hair going up and then back down. Just going to layer this in behind, down the side. Again, just adding some texture along the base. And then in the center, we're just going to leave a small gap. And just continue to add that texture going out. So it creates a little bit of a glare effect in the hair. And now with the sides of the hair, we're just going to brush this up and then out, just starting from the edge of the strand. And as we come in towards the middle, we're just going to bend this flatter, going out towards the side. And I'm going to work away from the outside, coming in. So we create this nice little highlight in the center of that space. Now this is just the base layer of that texture. We're going to come back and add some more after. Now moving to the side edge of my 2mm pencil, I'm just going to darken up the side of the head around the neck. Now this is where the shadow is going to be. And we're just going to gradually fade that out. So we create a little bit of a silhouette effect around this strand. Continue on the outside, and then fade that out. Let's go a little bit darker across the bottom, just extending that texture, coming up. Now this area underneath is going to get dark along the top, and then we'll fade that down. You can see with this band around the neck, I created two little highlights, just fading that in. And I'm just going to darken up the top of the shirt and then fade that down. And with the shadow areas, we want to create a defined edge along the inside of the eye. Go to the outside, just going to curve this around and then down. So the hair casts a shadow across the side of the head. Above the eyebrow, it's going to taper this up towards the top. Now this is the bounding area of the shadows, and we're going to go and just lightly shade the inside of that shadow area. Now the head's going to cast a shadow across the neck in an angle. So start from the top, angle this down, and then we'll shade the inside. Let's cast a shadow across the bottom edge of the nose. And the nose casts a shadow coming down towards the mouth, and then we'll lightly shade the inside. Now I'm just going to layer in that fine detail across the hair using my 0.7mm pencil, or anything a little bit finer if you have. Just want to go across some of those darker areas and extend that out. Now, as we get closer to the end, I'm just going to refine my details and shadows, and always be sure to sign my artwork, and that's pretty much it. There's a sketch illustration of Mira from the K-pop Demon Hunters. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you did, you might want to check out this video over here. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.